Hello. Please, sit down. We'll get started in a moment. It's very warm today. I've left the window open. Hello. Please, sit down. We'll get started in a moment. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, I got loaded and I got blue. Drunk myself sober, thinking of you. Why did you let you go now? After all we've been through, I thought that was the truth. The truth about me and you. Well, I got.
Ring, ring, ring. That's the tone. It's your best friend calling. You better pick up the phone. Ring, ring, ring. That's the tone. It's your best friend.
Hey, it's me. Hey, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, good. Look, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. Well, I'm glad you decided to go anyway. I think it's going to be good for you, and I am going to talk you through the route. You installed that GPS app, right? So I can track you. Did you? Look, hold on a second. I can check it. But did you email me the code? Did you? All right, don't worry about it. I'll check that too. Give me a second. I'll be back. Okay, right. Look, I know that you don't feel much like talking, and you don't have to. I got the code, I'm tracking you, and I can see that you're at the car park. So you made it there, so well done. It's a good start, well done. But the no talking thing, maybe if you could just grunt or breathe heavily now and again, just so I know I'm not talking to myself. Okay. Now, first you want to head north-ish. That's over towards the bins and the map. It's in like a kind of a wooden bus shelter thing. If you're walking towards the sun, then you're walking in the wrong direction. Do not walk into the light. Ooh, don't walk into the light. No, sorry about that. I mean, that was poor taste. I'm sorry, Charlie. Anyway, that aside, what's important to understand about this little journey that we're on is that I will be telling you jokes as we navigate around my little route. I thought it would either cheer you up or piss you off so much that you topped yourself. So it's a win-win. Okay. So joke number 1. I'll go deadpan for this one. I bought a dog from a blacksmith. When I got him home, he made a bolt for the door. I'm gonna assume you're laughing on the inside. Just go over to the map. Right, so you are at the map. Now, take a close look at the map, mate. Examine it very carefully. Memorize it. Pay close attention to the marked paths, because we are following that. It's not long, so don't worry. You should only take like an hour or two. The phone signal's pretty good across the park, and the weather looks nice-ish, kind of, according to my weather app anyway. So look out of the gate by the map. Look straight ahead. Can you see an old wooden church across the river? I'm going to assume you can because it's there. So unless it's incredibly foggy, you can see a church. What you want to do is head towards the church, but don't obviously walk into the river, and then follow the path along the river for a while. You're going to come to some biggish rocks, and when you get there, I will call you back. Alright, speak to you later. Bye.
It's your best friend calling. You better pick up the phone. Ring, ring, ring.
Me again. So, you made it to the rocks. They're quite impressive, aren't they? Kind of big and imposing, but solid. Like a good friend. Not intimidating, well, I don't think so anyway. These are granite, by the way, which is weird because that means these kind of big lumps popped out of the boiling magma that is right under your feet. Which, by the way, is probably only about 10 to 20 miles down. That's kind of scary. Always makes you feel pretty weak and pathetic standing where you are. Anyway, next stop is large copse of trees. Just carry on sort of northish. You can just follow the path for now. Just walk along the side of the river a bit more. You'll get to like a fork. To the right is like a gate. You don't need to go through there. The left path will take you through the forest. Once you're in the trees, assuming we've still got a signal, I will give you another call. Okay. Bye.
Ring, ring, ring. That's the tone. It's your best friend calling. You better pick up the phone. Ring, ring.
Hey, okay. Here's a joke. How would you briefly describe an acorn? Well, in a nutshell, it's an oak tree. Oh, come on. At least make some kind of noise. Oh, nice. Look, Charlie. I know what happened is... Oh, bollocks. Look, I want to talk to you about it. I want us to talk about it. But I don't know what to say. I don't even know how to start. I'd known Taylor longer than you. We grew up together. We went to school together. We played camp in the frickin' forest together. And eventually, as you well know, we all went to the same university together. Oh, well, you seem so happy. So incredibly wrapped up in one another. I'll admit, I was a little jealous. I guess it was bittersweet for me. I mean, you know, well, you and me, we get on all right, right? I mean, I think you may even be my busy mate. Mate. So yeah, it was bittersweet. But the sweet far outweighed the bitter, so it's all good. So, what I'm trying to say is that when Taylor died, when Taylor was killed, we both lost someone For the first few weeks after it happened, I couldn't sleep. I kept feeling guilty. Can you believe that? I felt guilty. I felt like if I'd been there, I could have stopped it. Why wasn't I there? If only, I was there, Charlie. I could have stopped it. But I lost someone too. Oh, geez, I need a drink. I'm going to grab myself a wee dram. And I bet you didn't bring any of the good stuff with you, did you? But don't you worry, because I think of everything. I have a little surprise for you. When I was up there just a few weeks ago, I stored a little something in a secret little cache up ahead. So don't you worry. You'll get yours. Speak soon.
up the phone. Ring, ring.
Pretty special, right? Joke time. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson go on a camping trip. After a good dinner and a bottle of wine, they retire for the night and go to sleep. Some hours later, Holmes wakes up and nudges his faithful friend. Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see. I see a million stars, Holmes, replies Watson. And what do you deduce from that? Watson ponders for a minute. Well, astronomically, it tells me that there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I observe that Saturn is in Leo. Horologically, I deduce that the time is approximately 3:15. Meteorologically, I suspect that we will have a beautiful day tomorrow. But what does it tell you, Holmes? Holmes is silent for a moment. Watson, you idiot, he says. Someone has stolen our tent. Anyway, we're almost there. We are almost there, Charlie. This place... Oh, jeez. This place makes me feel so tiny. So incredible at the same time. Makes me feel like I'm a tiny weeny cog in like a gigantic, complicated, frantically buzzing machine. I mean, I am tiny, but I'm a part of it, and it is wonderful. I'm doing my thing, what needs to be done, fulfilling my purpose, I suppose. It's wonderful, Charlie. Wonderful. Do you feel it, Charlie? Yes. Take a deep breath. Taylor and I used to come up here, you know, as kids. And then, even as we got older, we still came up here from time to time. Kind of dropped off as we got older. Talking of dropping off, that's kind of what I wanted you to do now. Or drop down, really. There's a kind of crack, or like a small gorge, by a biggish tree. Should be pretty obvious. So I want you to hop down into that little bit where the stream is. And then, when you hop down, you will be there, Charlie. Right where I want you to see... Well, just enjoy the last few minutes up here.
Ring. That's the tone. It's your best friend calling. You better pick up the phone. Ring.
Hey, we're here. So, to celebrate, Here's a quick joke in a kind of Groucho Marx style. I just read a list of the top 10 things to do before you die. I was surprised that yell for help wasn't one of them. Okay. I like that. Apologise for the accent. I know it was rubbish. Terrible impression, but... Well, look, you know I promised you a little drop of the good stuff? Well, it is hidden in a little crack just where the waterfall kind of comes down and hits the stream, just to the left of that. And when you found it, enjoy yourself. Have a swig. Have two. You deserve it, mate. And yes, it was bloody expensive, so you better not waste it. Go on.
Charlie? Charlie? Are you okay? What's going on? What? Are you okay? Talk to me. Jesus, what is going on? What? Hey. Oh, Jesus, look, Charlie, look. Okay, I am assuming you're in trouble. Now listen to me. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call for some help. Now don't worry. I know exactly where you are. I'll call back soon. Hang on. It's going to be okay.
That's the tone. It's your best friend calling you back.
Hey, Charlie, it's me. You okay? Still can't talk, eh? Well, don't worry, buddy. I've got everything under control. You just sit tight and soon you'll be fine. You know, Taylor rang me just before you know what. All upset. Life is over crap. I'm trapped. I'm not in love. I made a mistake. Oh, I was sympathetic. Very sympathetic. I think I even cried too. You see, I loved Taylor. In fact, I had always loved Taylor. Ever since we were kids. But then you had to come along and be all cool and interesting, didn't you? We were doing fine until you... Well, anyway, I'm guessing things are starting to dawn. Bells are starting to ring. Light bulbs are starting to shine. And it looks to me like you are a bit stuck. Doesn't look like you can get out, can you? Just like Taylor couldn't get out. You're stuck, mate. Stuck, mate. Game over. You tosser. Oh yeah? Just dawning on you now, isn't it? Thing is, you killed Taylor. You killed Taylor. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe you didn't actually take a human life with your bare hands. No. I mean, well, I had to do that, didn't I? But you killed that vibrant, lovable, joyous spirit. Oh my God. And when that was gone, all that was left was a broken Taylor. So just like a poor little lame animal, well, I had to put it out of its misery, didn't I? You understand, right? Of course you do. Oh, you are in a pickle. What to do? What to do? Oh, I know. Call the police. There's a madman trying to kill me. Only trouble is, you can't. You know that app I had you install? Well, it doesn't just track you. Its purpose is quite ironic, really. It's intended for parents and helps them to keep their kids safe. One of its features is to allow mummy and daddy to inhibit phone functions like calling and texting at certain times of day, so that little Jemima doesn't spend all night talking or messaging their friends. And you, well, you know I'm not one to blow my own trumpet, but I really do think of everything. Oh, well, I think this is it, Charlie. This is where you and me say goodbye. If I was you, I'd just find a nice place to sit down and let the eventually freezing night air drag you into the darkness. It's not such a bad way to go. Should be quite painless. If you don't fight it, well, bye. Oh, wait. Hello, Al. I almost forgot. I've got another joke. I'm going to do this upbeat. Yeah. It's your last joke. I'll try and make it good. 3 men died, and they're taken by God to the top of a cliff. God says to them that since they've been such great, wonderful human beings, had led kind and caring lives, that they'd be given a second chance at life, and that they could be anything they want to be. Just run and jump off the cliff, and as you do, tell me what you would be, and it shall be so, says God. So,
first man runs towards the edge of the cliff and says, "I want to be a..." He then jumps into the air and shouts, "Eagle!" Instantly, he's changed into an eagle and he soars off into the sunset. The second man runs towards the edge of the cliff and says, "I want to be a..." He then also jumps into the air and shouts, "Condor!" Instantly, he's changed into a condor and he too soars off into the sunset. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I know the end of this. Finally, the third man stands, looking a bit confused. "What is wrong, my child?" says God. "Oh, nothing, really. It's just I'm a little afraid of heights," says the man. "You have seen my power, child. You have nothing to fear. Simply ask and it will be yours." "Right, okay," says the man. And he begins running towards the edge of the cliff. And as he gets close, he says, "I want to be a..." He then launches himself into the air, looks down and shouts, "Shit!" Well, I thought it was funny. Sweet dreams. Hey, buddy o' mine. You worried me there for a minute. I saw you moving. I thought you'd made it out somehow. Do you know what? I almost drove out there to finish the job, maybe. But then I saw that you'd stopped moving, and you seemed to be in the river, or close to it, and then I realised that maybe you'd fell in. You did. You fell in and floated down the river, like that frickin' river of life you're always going on about. And then you stopped moving, and I waited, and you didn't move. You didn't move for quite a long time, and then I knew, or I hoped. Well, either you bashed your head and are now lying face down in the water, snagged on some log or something, or you drop your phone and you're still stuck in the gorge with no way to escape. Either way, it's a win-win. For me. Yes, I realise that leaving this voicemail is silly, since you're never going to hear it. But I needed to. I needed some bleeding catharsis. This is all very heavy,
4,
and it doesn't do to
3,
keep it bottled up.
2, 1. Yes. Well, don't worry, Charlotte. We can try again another time. Hello. Please, sit down. We'll get started in a moment. It's very warm today. I've left the window open. I hope you don't mind. Would you like some tea or coffee? Mrs. Gordon, could you bring us some tea? Thank you.
Ring, ring, ring. That's the tone. It's your best friend calling you back.
Hey, Charlie, it's me. You okay? Still can't talk, eh? Well, don't worry, buddy. I've got everything under control. You just sit tight and soon you'll be fine. You know, Taylor rang me just before you know what. All upset. Life is over crap. I'm trapped. I'm not in love. I made a mistake. Oh, I was sympathetic. Very sympathetic. I think I even cried too. You see, I loved Taylor. In fact, I had always loved Taylor. Ever since we were kids. But then you had to come along and be all cool and interesting, didn't you? We were doing fine until you... Well, anyway, I'm guessing things are starting to dawn. Bells are starting to ring. Light bulbs are starting to shine. And it looks to me like you are a bit stuck. Doesn't look like you can get out, can you? Just like Taylor couldn't get out. You're stuck, mate. Stuck, mate. Game over. You tosser. Oh yeah, just dawning on you now, isn't it? The thing is, you killed Taylor. You killed Taylor. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe you didn't actually take a human life with your bare hands. I mean, well, I had to do that, didn't I? But you killed that vibrant, lovable, joyous spirit. Oh my God. And when that was gone, all that was left was a broken Taylor. So just like a poor little lame animal, well, I had to put it out of its misery, didn't I? You understand, right? Of course you do. Oh, you are in a pickle. What to do? What to do? Oh, I know. Call the police. There's a madman trying to kill me. Only the trouble is, you can't. You know that app I had you install? Well, it doesn't just track you. Its purpose is quite ironic, really. It's intended for parents and helps them to keep their kids safe. One of its features is to allow mummy and daddy to inhibit phone functions like calling and texting at certain times of day, so that little Jemima doesn't spend all night talking or messaging their friends. And well, you know I'm not one to blow my own trumpet, but I really do think of everything. Oh, well, I think this is it, Charlie. This is where you and me say goodbye. If I was you, I'd just find a nice place to sit down and let the eventually freezing night air drag you into the darkness. It's not such a bad way to go. Should be quite painless if you don't fight it. Well, bye. Oh, wait. Hello, Al. I almost forgot. I've got another joke. I'm going to do this upbeat. Yeah. It's your last joke. I'll try and make it good. 3 men died, and they're taken by God to the top of a cliff. God says to them that since they'd been such great, wonderful human beings, had led kind and caring lives, that they'd be given a second chance at life, and that they could be anything they want to be. Just run and jump off the cliff, and as you do, tell me what you would be, and it shall be so, says God. So, the first man runs towards the edge of the cliff and says, I want to be a... He then jumps into the air and shouts, Eagle! Instantly, he's changed into an eagle, and he soars off into the sunset. The second man runs towards the edge of the cliff and says, I want to be a... He then also jumps into the air and shouts, Condor! Instantly, he's changed into a condor, and he too soars off into the sunset. I'm laughing because I know the end of this. Finally, the third man stands, looking a bit confused. What is wrong, my child? Says God. Oh, nothing, really. It's just, I'm a little afraid of heights, says the man. You have seen my power, child. You have nothing to fear. Simply ask and it will be yours. Right, okay, says the man. And he begins running towards the edge of the cliff. And as he gets close, he says, I want to be a... He then launches himself into the air, looks down and shouts, Shit! Well, I thought it was funny. Sweet dreams. You worried me there for a minute. I saw you moving. I thought you'd made it out somehow. Do you know what? I almost drove out there to finish the job, maybe. But then I saw that you'd stopped moving, and you seemed to be in the river, or close to it, and then I realised that maybe you'd fell in. You did. You fell in and floated down the river, like that frickin' river of life you're always going on about. And then you stopped moving, and I waited. And you didn't move. You didn't move for quite a long time, and then I knew, or I hoped. Well, either you bashed your head and are now lying face down in the water, snagged on some log or something, or you drop your phone and you're still stuck in the gorge with no way to escape. Either way, it's a win-win. For me. Yes, I realise that leaving this voicemail is silly, since you're never going to hear it. But I needed to. I needed some bleeding catharsis. This is all very heavy, and it doesn't do to keep it bottled up.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes. Well, don't worry, Charlotte. We can try again another time. Hello. Please, sit down. We'll get started in a moment. It's very warm today. I've left the window open. I hope you don't mind. Would you like some tea or coffee? Mrs. Gordon, could you bring us some tea? Thank you. We'll